simply breaking down some cardboard boxes taught me more about kind of it, like a type of inner peace and kind of next step, than like reading any self-improvement book ever could. Have you ever felt that you've just got something that is just building up physically, that you see like this mountain of stuff, you know you have to get to it, you keep wanting to put it off, but you start thinking about it more and more, and you try not to think about it, and then you think about it more and more, and it becomes this like mental thing as well as a physical thing? Well, that's kind of what I want to share with you today. I want to kind of talk about how simply breaking down some cardboard boxes taught me more about kind of it, like a type of inner peace and kind of next step, than like reading any self-improvement book ever could. Basically, what happened was I had a lot of stuff in terms of like a lot of boxes. And it's kind of something that they don't really tell you. Like the idea of having so many boxes when you get stuff, it's kind of like an almost afterthought. But of course, this was kind of like piled up, and I'm like trying to open the door to my garage, and I just actually couldn't do it because there was just so much stuff in there. So I was like, that was kind of like building up in my head, and I was like, no, this needs to stop. The first point. Now, the clutter physically did take up space, but as time continued to progress, it got me thinking, oh, I really need to start cleaning this. Like, it actually started coming into my like day to day, and it kind of like affected my concentration somewhat, because I was like, I know I've got to do this task, and by putting it off, it kind of just exacerbates it more. So that's kind of why like I wanted to kind of do this video reflecting on the realizations I had when I was tearing up boxes. Because what I, really, which takes me to my next point. What I could have done is simply just take the boxes, put in the recycling bin, and then that's it. But the thing is, the recycling bin is only so big. It comes every 2 weeks. And I kind of want to share that taking shortcuts will actually not be a shortcut and end up being more work. What do I mean by this? Well, if you imagine like a box and a package, it's like three-dimensional, right? If you actually break it down and tear it up into shreds, like turn it to paper, it doesn't really take up that much space. But like visually, when you first see it, because it's like three-dimensional and there's a lot of empty space it covers, it seems like a lot. So what this does is it actually requires more time. Yes, I mean, I could have just simply flattened it and then chucked it in the bin, but I was trying to like break it up as much as I could to turn it into paper. It allowed me to like really consolidate it, which would mean that there would be less bin required. It would actually be quicker because like it wouldn't stay in the garage as long because I could like recycle it. Then the biggest thing to starting this was that I knew it was going to be a bit of a chore. But when I accepted that fact and said, well, we need to actually start doing this, right? I rolled up my sleeves, I put a podcast on, and I kind of got into it. It was a bit of a bore at the start, but before I knew it, it kind of became very therapeutic in the sense that I was kind of getting some stress and frustration out of the working week and some things on my mind. So having that facility and outlet to kind of channel that into ripping up the cardboard was actually quite nice, which is kind of a nice realization to have something like that and, take advantage of it, opposed to just simply, say, putting it in the recycling bin and then not having that opportunity to do that by simply skipping over it, if you will. That's kind of where the chores of that actually became kind of like a bit of therapy, if that makes sense. It was quite a cathartic process. Obviously, you did that. And then I kind of took a break because I had dinner, because the dinner was like cooking in the background. But then I was like, oh, I've made a start. I want to keep going with this. So I basically did it until I was able to fill the bin completely. And then had a bit of extra for the next trip. So it's like, that was really cool. So it created, even though I was at a negative where I really didn't want to do it, I did it and then stopped. I had enough momentum to carry on and keep doing it, if that makes sense. And I'm like, I should really stop this because I need to do other things in the night. So that kind of like halted that. But it left me with a sense of pride. And I guess it like kind of leads actually directly into my next point, because that momentum I had, as I was starting to kind of see more of the space of the garage, I kind of thought about the other boxes. Like, for example, the box that the barbecue came in. Do I actually need to break this down and throw it away? Like, can I not put the barbecue in the barbecue cover and like put that in this box? Like, will that work? Like, if so, that would mean that over the winter, the like barbecue is more protected, and I can like, you know, it's like less dust is going to get on it because it's like, you know what I mean? It's like more packed away, it's more neat, it's more organized. I can stack it because it's a box. So that kind of made me think, well, actually, then I've got even less stuff I need to break down in the future. So that kind of was like really cool, and kind of seeing like, well, where would I put this? How can I start to kind of have this thing and kind of organize my garage better? And then there's a cantilever umbrella as well, which is this huge long thing, and it comes with this on with a cover. And I'm like, well, I can't probably have this sitting outside in the winter because it's going to rain and, you know, whatnot, just to like give it extra protection. I'm like, we'll have to eventually put this in the garage. But then I was thinking, well, do I need to keep the box for this? Probably won't fit. So I have to probably get rid of that box. But then also like, maybe I could put like a towel over the base so it's kind of like covered. That way, at least like if I come back from a bike ride from work, then I can at least, you know, have a towel to dry off and don't have to like go into the house with it like all like being all drenched. So that was kind of like how it created the idea about, well, what else can I use this space for? Because when it's cluttered, you can just think of the clutter, but by starting to remove the clutter, you can kind of start to see what you want to do with it, and it kind of puts it in a new light. It's kind of takes it from being that negative to something really positive and like ready for something to be bedded in it, if that makes sense, or better organization, which is kind of cool. Like, I am grateful for all this stuff, don't get me wrong, but it just makes you think, like, if you buy lots of stuff in one go, then you've got a lot of boxes. So like, it kind of just, I don't know, kind of vindicates the idea of taking your time with things, getting things slowly, having the intention about what you're trying to get, you know, to kind of like facilitate a space. Like, for example, if I was to get some like outdoor furniture, like if I leave that outdoor furniture outside, like it's probably going to like add up and like potentially get damaged over winter because of the, you know, the season and the Australian, you know, this weather and that not. But if I kind of got some stuff that folded away, how could I fold that away? Like how can I kind of organize it in the garage? Like all these things start to tick because there's another project I did, which was actually painting the fence. So like you've like the outdoor areas become much more of an inviting and functional space. So, but with that comes the idea of like, well, what should we put here? How can we make it, you know, furniture? You know, what do we need? So it kind of like starts to think about that like maximalist thought. Like, what do I need? You know, do I need this? Like, how can we make the most out of this space? Like, how many people will realistically be over here? Like, kind of starting to prepare for like seeing it as a space that actually, when before it was just like me and my girlfriend hanging out in the backyard on a picnic rug, like to kind of like, how can this be an outdoor space? Which is really cool to kind of have that. This kind of takes me to like my next point, because this all up took me about 90 minutes to do. And I was kind of thinking back to like when I was a kid and I would have tasks like this and like want to procrastinate them. I was like, well, if I spent say 90 minutes instead playing video games that day, I think I would have probably been, obviously had the satisfaction of playing the video games, but something in me would have kind of gnawed at me to say, should I really be doing this? Is there not a better use of my time? And the fact that I did this left me with a great sense of satisfaction and great sense of, no, I'm actually quite proud of this. And I'm glad that I took the time to do this, because it effectively meant that, well, I've got something that I can tangibly see. So now when I actually walk into the garage, I'm not stressed. I can actually open the door. So I've got a tangible benefit. So it kind of like just reaffirms the idea that someone that I used to be, that used to play a lot of video games and kind of put off certain tasks, it's kind of like the right way forward, and always kind of tidying that up, like the mental and the physical clutter, to kind of allow for the next thing and have that momentum build, because that's kind of what's like on the other side. And that's kind of what I wanted to share with you today. Like, perhaps you can reflect on your own space. Like, maybe you've got lots of stuff, maybe your wardrobe's not organized, maybe you've just got lots of just crap lying around, maybe you need to clean out your garage, maybe you could clean out your wardrobe, like just clean your room. Like, it's not just your parents nagging you to do it or the sense that you really should do it. There's a reason for that. And if you were to kind of, like, a lot of people want this sexy thing for self-improvement, like, oh, what can I do? I should do this, I should buy that. Like, yeah, but if you just start with simple stuff like this, it's kind of like the premise of what, like, I'm trying to talk about in this. And how I kind of want to factor this into eventually down the line, my next ebook, which is like a free one, which is 40 to 60 pages, called the tutorial level. The importance of doing stuff like this to kind of set yourself up so you've got the mental freedom and clarity to kind of start working on like bigger mountains and actual things that you want to do, because you can have the ability to kind of reflect and sit because you're not having that mental junk accumulate. And of course, if you actually do identify that you want to conquer, literal mountains and, take up cycling, then the best thing for you would be to get a copy of Life Cycles in the description below. And but by doing this first, it will kind of set yourself up to know that, okay, that's the next thing. Like, for example, I'm thinking of doing a bike ride tomorrow or a long run, but I probably would not have been able to reflect on that or how I want to structure either of those if I probably didn't have the garage clean to a point, because it would still be gnawing at me and I wouldn't be able to concentrate. So because of that, I'm able to plan the long run and the route and everything, or plan the bike ride and the intensity and kind of how to have a similar effect. So that's what I'm trying to say, like the importance of doing things like this and kind of all the realizations that it gives you. You're not just breaking down boxes, you're breaking down so much more, and what's left is kind of, almost like a new version, like a new save file. It's pretty cool. So conquer mountains, conquer life.